hello VOD people, I hope you are having a good day, you've had food, water, everything you need to do. It's been a minute since I've done a morning stream. But we need to get this done. Last night, actually let me backtrack for a bit. This entire week since Tuesday is currently Saturday morning. I've been trying to finish my Megabase. We did on Tuesday the south entrance, Wednesday the east entrance. Thursday we gutted my old crop farm and replaced it with a second rice farm, and then made 2 semi-automatic crop farms. The reason being I have modded crops, and it wasn't working with the stereotypical auto crop farm, which is villagers. And then yesterday, Friday, it was supposed to be, I hit my boom arm, I apologize. It was supposed to be the finale. It was not. I was able to organize out my little storage room. We found a cool little hack where I can make actual looking storage racks with some of the modded items we have. And then I got connecting all of it. And we had a lot of problems. But at the very end, we figured out, with my 2014 chain hopper redstone, how to solve the stupid storage drawers issues. They only go out about 50 blocks. I need them to go way farther out than that. So, with some weird finagling, we actually figured out a solution. So now, I ran out of time last night, because I need to go to bed at a decent time so I could actually, wake up and do this today. I ended off stream last night just as we made sure that the solution worked. And I could see number go up, dopamine high. I was going freaking crazy, which, fair, the title was literally, Go, I Am Crazy. Or, I May Be Crazy, that's what it was, which is a reference to a Billy Joel song, You May Be Right. It is Billy Joel, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. I believe, hold on, I have it on my likes playlist. Where is this? Yes, it is Billy Joel. If you don't know Billy Joel, you probably do anyway. If you know Uptown Girl, you know Billy Joel. If you know, I'm pretty sure he's also We Didn't Start the Fire. Billy Joel has a lot of popular songs. He's a great frickin' artist. If you don't know him, you should listen to him. He has some great stuff. If you watched, as a kid, Oliver and Company, the Disney movie, he did the main song for that too. But my favorite musicians, artists aside, we are going to actually get this done today, and hopefully add a little decor here and there, some fake piping about the place, because I have the little copper heart. And the intention of the copper heart in the center of my base was it'd have a pipe for each of the different farms I would have. So I actually have a lot of pipes I need to add to that thing. So let's actually hop into the game. I've only moved a few blocks so the campfires didn't interrupt my intro, because they are extremely loud. But down here, we barely figured out how to connect all this up. I did not figure out we come around this entire thing. This is a pure rice farm, and how rice starts out is these rice panicles, which you have to craft into the rice. So I need to probably figure out an autocrafter, or I could leave that just to another day for this one. And I am low on stuff with a full inventory because I did not do a thing before I logged off last night. Let's grab a few of these. There we go. But now that we know that we can first off hopper chain this, and then I can literally just connect all this up by sticking one of these right here. I could probably have done, I don't know why I grabbed the single drawers. I could have probably done this a little better if I grabbed the trip or the quadruple. There's a 2x2x2, or 2x2 one as well, that I could have done. Hello, Wolfie, hello. Thank you for the daily cranberries. This should be the last one. Hopefully. We had to figure out storage stuff last night, but I got it figured out, so now I just need to connect up my lovely storage racks with everything else. Now, let me take a sip of water, because I've been talking straight for almost 5 minutes. Delicious. I still need to send a screenshot of these to Misty. I think she'd love them. This is actually curtains from Macaw's windows, and I adore it. And then parapets also from Macaw's windows. It's so cool. I love it so much. I do still need to connect. There's a few things from this pipeline that we need to connect up. I think I still need... Why are there... Oh, I know why that's all that's there. Yeah. Because this has a bunch of stuff, and apparently it doesn't have a quantifier right now. There we go. So I should actually take this and probably switch it out with the one I have over here. Because this just has one little guy in it. Okay, boop. Nope. Give me that. Second slot. Boop. And then I need to unquantify and unlock it. So it's just an empty drawer now. And I should probably start carrying around a backpack because we have so much stuff in our inventory now. We don't need the control. I'm gonna keep the controllers on me. I kinda need them. Sorta, maybe. I don't need so many spruce trims on me. And I do need those blocks on me because I stole them from over here. And then I also need to switch around and steal... Why aren't the poppies quantified? That's a drawer key. Quantify key. And then you guys aren't quantified either. Okay. So you don't matter. You still kind of matter for the moment. And then let me unlock these. We grab all those, pop it in there, so I can get rid of this. And that can already be getting rid of. Why? Seal contents within? There's no contents. Why won't you? You're just normal now. Why don't you act like you are? Contents sealed within. You don't actually have contents though. You don't. You don't though. You're okay. I have 2 broken storage drawers apparently. Because there's literally nothing in those mofos. We gotta take... Which one are you? Your iron heads, which means this one's my poppies. Which I need to switch out with this one. I'm not gonna get that back, am I? Can I get that back? There we go, barely. And I have the sun directly in my eyes. No, fine. There you go. Sorry, I woke you up, dude. There you go. That should hopefully keep the sun out of my eyes for this. Yeah, hopefully. And then this is locked, so boop. Is it because it thinks there's something to quantify? Is that why it's broken? And if I get rid of that, now it should. Yeah, okay, so maybe the other things just still have a quantify on it. And it's being silly because of the quantify? No, you don't have a quantify on you. So why are you not? I don't know why that one's not, because it now has a poppy in it. It's just broken. Okay, great. I was hoping maybe that was a solution. It was not. Hey, boop, boop. So now that should take, yep. And then we drag this. And honestly, I'm just gonna steal all that and then pop it in. It's gonna be easier. Do you stack? No. No, you did not. Is it because of the quantify? No. No, you're just broken as well. Great. Love that so much. You don't have a quantify though. None of y'all do. Did I even lock these? Yeah, they're locked. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I should probably light up this area down here, honestly. I rely very heavily on my words, on my ability to create words, on my torches. Or on my Fulbright. I don't rely on torches is the problem. I rely very heavily on the Fulbright, but thankfully I have a backup of upgraded torches from us crafting a bunch last time. We'll keep Lil Ham. Lil Ham's been useful. It's the #1 reason we've been able to do this as fast as we can. Deep sleep mine's so slow. And then we're gonna place these as needed. They're upgraded torches, so they have a bit of a wider range than the normal torches would. But it shouldn't still need that many across the place. I'm just gonna pop them down every so often. And gonna stick them in nearby caves so I don't have people coming up into where they're not supposed to. Get each of these corners. And there's still lighting down here, so that's fine. And I will put the excess of this, because we're going to need these for the other pipelines. Right, I need to connect these still. It needs to connect up all the way over to the iron golems, the poppies, and the iron. So I think at this point what I should do is where we are standing right here. We're standing over here. I'm just going to connect and fully mine out this entire area underneath here. Yeah, it's a little more than I need to mine. That's fine. And just fill out this entire area, frankly. That is gone too far yet again. Actually, we could just use that to connect up over here, probably. Although that might not be the best way to do it, but whatever. Check where I'm at. This should be good. And no, I'm not picking up deep slate. We don't need all that. And the upgraded torches are a silly modded item, so they like to float. I only ever bothered making 2 hammers, so we just have Lil Ham and Big Ham. So we gotta do this with Lil Ham. Big Ham's too powerful for this. It's a 5x5x5. I ain't doing that. Very slowly. That gets rid of my staircase, but that's it. I do have a little thing down here that I gotta be kind of worried about maybe accidentally breaking. Because it has hoppers there. Let me get rid of this block so I can do that. And then remove all of these. And I think the only thing that kind of gives off that there's anything going on down here is the ender chest from up above. Yeah, because the rest of these are solids. So let's just boop, boop, boop. And we're going to pretend that nothing's actually happening down here. Despite something very obviously happening down here. Boop, boop. Nope. Move around Big Ham for the moment. Or Lil Ham, not Big Ham. Is this the correct block? No. One more. This. Yes, this is where the poppies are. And I'd much rather keep those. So we need to connect that. And hopefully now when I run back to this controller over here, it should recognize there are poppies in the system. Yes. I feel like we should push this back even farther. So I have the utmost control of this. We're gonna stick that, I think, all the way right here. So I should be able to access the entirety of this area with the one controller. What would probably be optimal is just setting the controller in the middle. I don't know if it could go that far. If I do set it in the very middle underneath this obsidian. What is this block? Negative 26, so if it's at 24 normal, then that's its limit. It's just past it. This is 26 again. So I think we could do it just at the entrance. Stick it about right here, and that would be fine. And that would just reach the edge of what it can. Stick it right there. I don't need to redo all this. I just need to redo enough that I can do that instead. Love this song, yeah! Gotta appreciate fandom songs. Oh, there goes all that. That was stuck in the system. The rice panicles are just gonna get stuck in the system right now, unfortunately. There's a little iron right down here. I care more about the iron than those diamonds, though, honestly. And then, are you also broken? Yes. Yes, you are. It thinks there's contents within it. So we might as well use it. There we go. And then do that. And that should start organizing it out. It's still stuck on the rice panicles, but that's fine. That's fine for now. Iron is somewhere about here. I think I'm one off. Yeah, there we go, the spot. And then I also need to connect you. It occurs to me probably be a lot better if I did this like this. Which is going to make the system upset for but a moment, but that's fine. Because it's going to make it easier on me later. I picked up a random piece of copper deep slate. Don't need that. I need the trims. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. This is purely just so I can walk around it. Can I immediately... No, because then it'd loop back around, and I don't need that to happen. This is slowly despawning about, which is good. I should probably keep a slot for those. I also need the iron golem heads, which are way over here. I think this spot exactly? No. Over one? Yes. Right here. And I immediately... Give me that. Thank you. And then hopefully we can just connect this up. Boop. I don't want to pick up more. Okay. So that is all of that system connected up. I kind of want to deal with the rice panicles so they're not blocking the system while we get everything else sorted. They're fine for now. I should put up here an excess storage module somewhere. So unsorted things can go there. I don't have a spot that would fit one, though. Because the bowls are just by themselves. I could fit something right here. Give me that. Yeah. I'm just gonna, yep. And then we can go upstairs and grab one of the extras. I'll grab some of the extra stuff. Let's go. Boop. I actually need the other window, but that's fine. We'll grab 2 of these. So that anything that is unsorted can just be thrown into here. Which also helps if anything does accidentally get thrown in the system, then we know exactly where it's going to go. Oh wait, I didn't account for that. There we go. Can I grab that? Thank you. But that isn't connected up to the system, so I just have to come down here. And I think literally... Or is it this spot? No. This spot. And now, panicles are sorting into the system. Good. Good. So I have that problem solved until we can actually get that fixed. And that means we just gotta go around and connect up all the other loose ends. I kind of want to use what I've mined out over here. We're just going to use it. Or, actually, no. That's not going to be an efficient use at all. I need to connect up to this. This is my main controller right now. I think I might hopper chain this to be the best use of it. I don't immediately threw the hopper in. So that's gonna it's gonna connect up to that, which is just gonna loop it. And now all of that's been thrown upstairs into the miscellaneous spots. Give me that. Give. Thank you. So putting this in this spot has also offered some challenges. I could also just set up another controller, though. I could set up another one about right here. That connects to everything else. Because different controllers can connect to each other as far as I'm aware. My only issue is I don't want it to loop back around, which is why we have that system going on. So I'm fine with that happening. Now we just have to connect this over to the farms I need it to connect to on the other end. And because my entire base is multi-layered, we gotta deal... Why? Oh, right, there's a water cave underneath me. I forget every time. There we go. And so now we should be directly underneath here. And we're gonna carry on forward. Oh yeah, that's a problem. That's fine though. And just build over it. These are gonna be the gubbins of my base. Fun fact, I almost built my iron farm directly above this. And decided not to, because I am not frickin' dealing with... I'm not dealing with draining all of this water from my iron farms. So the iron farms got moved from this corner to the other corner. And one of the things I need is right here. And I, again, do not care about the diamonds. Is it directly below me? Or directly above? Yes, right here. Literally. Yep. How do I need to do this thing? That's the question. Oh, I need a hopper chain it. Right. I've already forgotten how I'm doing this and what I'm doing here. We need a hopper train all this to one controller. The wool is over here, and I need to switch that to a hopper system as well. Hi, guys. So we need to switch this over to the other side. Probably do... I forgot because... okay. Okay, let me brain. I'm thinking I could switch, or not even like move this chest or anything, just hopper this over to this. Which means I just need to move this down a block to efficiently do that. It's just gonna be fun to walk around, but that's fine. Alright, do I even need to do that? If I switch out these hoppers to one, yeah, we can just do that. And then I can have that directly connect up to here. So we're just gonna turn off this side so it gets stuck on this end. There we go. And then I don't have to worry about it for a moment. We're gonna get rid of both of these. We're not gonna get rid of the chest just yet. That's all I need to do. Because I still need this little system here. So the hoppers can stop at the end of this if they detect they have something in there. Give me that. And because I decorated this entire thing, gotta remove some stuff. Boop, boop. Boop. And now we've circumvented the chest while also keeping the chest. And then I can just destroy the chest and move all the wool into the hopper system. I do need to get back up so I can place the... Oh. Do this. So I can destroy this half. I can remove that. And that way we can go boop and boop. Did that connect? Yes, it did. And then we replace that. And then I go bup, 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 bup. And we slowly overfill all of these hoppers with wool. There we go. And there's still more wool. This one. I'll do. Oh, one of them must still have shears in it, or somebody replaced them. I need to turn these back on. And then they got picked up again. Perfect. I will deal with what that looks like topside later. That's not a concern at the moment. And I need to drink water because throat annoying. It is getting gravelly, which is not good. So that's connected, which leaves... not that one. I need to be over a few blocks. Until I line up with the chickens. There we go. And I imagine that's somewhere about right there. I was crouching, so that doesn't help me. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Is it directly right here? Yes. Yes, it is. Boop. And then we hopper chain. Nope. Boop. Because this is not directly in the floor. Same thing with this one. I need to get right behind it. So I can place the last hopper appropriately. Are you kidding me? Boop. And then bop. And I will place that in about a moment. It's kind of useful to keep it open on this side, because then I can also check the hoppers there. So we'll leave that as is. Except place a few torches around. So I don't have to worry about the goobs and gobs when I come back in to this space. I don't want to place one directly on the floor. That should be fine. In case water buckets or spills happen, I'd much rather just let torches be up as high as I can manage. I'm all too used to random water spills that did not need to happen, but happened anyway. And just set one right there for the moment. Because I'm at such a weird layer, it's hard to tell if the lighting in here is enough. But we're soon to find out. Eventually. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with this system, as per normal. Leave it on the floor. Just leave it. Nope, that is not how that needs to go. And hopefully that starts connecting up. It seems to have. Because there's no longer wool detected by that controller. So it now should be in this controller, no? Where did all the wool go? Or is it still sitting in the hopper because it hasn't detected anything it can go into? No, it's draining into that. Well, let's connect it up to the actual wool where it needs to go, and we'll see. Oh no, it's going into this hopper. Very slowly. Thank you, CoffeeBot. Did I mess up a hopper somewhere? Because there should be way more wool going into this thing. No, that's all flowing. That has weirdly okay, they've all stopped. I'm assuming because there's nothing else, nowhere for it to go. And the controller's being weird. So we need to hook up this. Sugarcane, I think, is right above me. Yep. Boop, boop. Which means... Nope. This spot? Yep. And then we need to connect in front of it, so I don't accidentally mess any of this up. So is the wool... Yes, it's filling. Okay, good. And that means there should be sugarcane moving in soon as well. Because it's all connected up now, it should all be moving over. The eggs haven't been connected, so that's fine. I don't expect that to start moving. That is moving now too. Okay, fantastic. They just gotta take turns a little bit. So let's connect up the eggs, which are behind here. I actually need to move that over a little bit. There we go. And then connect up that. And connect up that. So now, when it gets going, I'm not expecting to see it into here immediately, but I should see the eggs draining out of this one now. You were connected. Is that too far for you to go? Because you are connected. Is it because there's too much other things in the system right now? Or is it because this physically can't hold anymore? No, that could definitely hold way more. Is it because it's a different... trim? The different trims won't connect? Is my stylized choice messing this up? Let's remove a bunch of this. I don't need you, and you. Let's see for just a second. Let's imagine for a moment. Let me steal this. I'm gonna place it out here. And let's just see if that choice actually matters. Quantify key, drawer key, quantify key. Or if it's something else going on here. Because if there's no eggs going into there, by all accounts so far, that should be fine. Or at the very least, it should be draining. There's 80 eggs in here. Okay, the entire... Oh, this backed up. That's wrong. That's why. That's why there's no eggs or sugarcane coming in. I only saw the number go down, not anything else. Okay. So it probably was not frame choice, it was probably just hoppers. So let's... I want to double check this, make sure. Let's put this back, and we'll give it a little bit, because it's currently backstocked with a lot of items coming through right now. There's a ridiculous amount of wool over in that area. And then it has to go through the sugarcane, and then the eggs. So we'll check back on the eggs in but a bit. Now we have the last fun thing. Is the entire other section. There are still 3 more things to connect. The first rice farm, the original rice farm, the creeper farm, and the mob farm. And I'm debating if it's better to do one line over here that connects up to this, or connect up to this controller. I'm tempted to just hopper chain it all the way over to the other controller. Where this lines up with that, so I could just do a line here and connect it to this controller. Because I already have hopper chains going on right here. Hey, diamonds. I already have a hopper chain right there. And the iron farm isn't used so much. It could also just have its own personal pipeline. But because it's diagonal and kind of off, I feel like it'd be far more efficient to connect it up to something else. Granted, this one will have big bursts of things. This one's just backlogged right now because they're slow passive farms. These ones are semi-automatic or passive. The rice farm's passive, meaning it just runs by itself. The creeper farm's kind of passive, but you do have to be online and nearby in a certain vicinity for it to work, so I'm going to say semi-automatic. And then this one has to be manual / semi-automatic because you have to be near the spawners for it to work. So I think maybe connecting it up to the other line would be better. So we need to do a system going out this way. Let me find here. This spot. I immediately started crashing when I don't need to. This is gonna be interesting to actually get done. And I have no idea how I'm gonna connect this up proper. I might have to change everything that's over there down a little bit. That is not what I need to place. I don't need those in my hotbar right now. There we go. Follow along. There is a cave below the mob farm. I do know this. And we should run right into it any moment. Because it has the whole collection area down here. Yeah. And I am a-okay with, like, connecting these up. I don't know if it will come through and decorate my little pipe systems. I might. That could be a thing we do next week. I could do some further decor. Let me get rid of all these, because these are pretty good materials to keep. I don't know I have a singular chest on me. I'm gonna get rid of that. Oh, from the wool. Yeah. Yeah, that would be why. You know, I'm just gonna block off the cave, actually. And then light this up before I forget later and come to regret it. It's so little of a cave. I'm just gonna block it. It's not a lot to actually do. And there was literally a torch around that corner. So, now actually doing this is the fun part. I'm gonna throw that away. There is a controller hidden inside here, so I could hopper chain again. Are there... that's a bunch of hoppers connected to a chain. Hoppers can't go up is the only problem here, but then I could just connect a this is the fun part. I feel like this has to move down one. Just so I can connect it up. Oop. So I can do this with that line. It shouldn't be connected, so it will all be fine. I do actually need to... Oh, it went into the storage. Let me do that so I can actually see it from one side and make sure that works. And then we'll trim chain. This is fairly far out though, so I'm gonna need to do a controller at some point. I think maybe right here would be a good spot to do a controller. And then I could hopper chain the rest of this. Because this should be within range, maybe. Perhaps. I'm gonna place a temp block. Boop. Oh wait, I'm hoppering the rest of this. So I don't need to do that necessarily. All I need to do for this part is this. And all of this should be... That is not on the same level. That is on a different level. But if I literally just put this down one to the floor, then that problem's solved, and all of this should be able to connect up appropriately. Is hopper chains probably the weirdest way to go about this? Yeah. Will it work and give me way less of a headache? Also yes. So we are gonna frickin' hopper chain it. We're gonna move this out of the way. Steal the controller. To be placed over here. Excuse. And then just a bunch of hoppers. Just all the hoppers. I'm also gonna have to move this guy. And somehow get out of here. There we go. And let me steal a bunch of these and throw them in. So we can make sure that this is actually connecting up and going through. There's bones going into this. So I am to assume, if I come over here, at the very least, this is going to have bones in it, or going through it. Yes. And then there's bones and everything stacking up in that. That's fine. Currently, there's an egg going through. Well, it says it has one egg. There's one egg right there. Did all the eggs go through? This looks so freaking weird. There's an egg here. It's not moving. Do I have a Schrodinger's egg? What is happening here? Has this been filling? Yeah, it's still filling. Okay, no, it's just an egg. There's so many eggs going through the system so fast. Usually you would see a bump, bump, bump. There's an egg. But there's just too many of them. It doesn't even register that it's trying to do that. Like, you'd see the bump, bump, bump there. It should be doing that in the hopper. But there's just too many eggs, so it's just continuous. Okay, cool. So it is working. And because I'm hopper chaining the rest of this, we don't have to worry about making another single controller. Let me unlock, or let's unquantify first, and then unlock. And then that is also broken. Great. I love having broken things that don't stack. Yeah, clogging my inventory. It's absolutely wonderful. And some of these materials I actually like, so I'll keep that. Actually, what I should be doing is take this, and then so it starts falling into here while I'm trying to get it out of the system. And then let's get rid... They could have upgrades. That could be why. There. This one doesn't have any other upgrades, I'm pretty sure. I don't have any other of these in my inventory. Do they still have upgrades in it and I'm just being silly? Am I just being extra silly about this? Yes, they have upgrades. That is why they won't stack. They do have content sealed within them. Because I forgot that I had upgrades. That would be why. And now they all stack. Fantastic. Okay. I was being silly. Oh, right, you stupid. Baby mobs are prone to escaping this one. I should really just do this to make sure they don't. And then we go boop. Throw that in. And we'll connect up the rest of this eventually. And then I need to steal your void upgrade. And then we do drawer key, which fixes all of that. And now you should stack. Yes. And then all of that in to the system. And then quantify, drawer, and content sealed within. I forgot the upgrades. Boop, boop. And I'm actually going to repair that a little bit. And boop, 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 boop. And I accidentally removed just my own arrows. Give me that. Give me all of this. And replace the one thing I didn't mean to. Boop. I don't need those right now, although I should. You still have content sealed within. What do you have? A singular egg. Give me the egg. This drawer key? Yes, there you go. I still had the egg drawer. Okay, why do I have a singular... I don't need a stair. I don't need those. Give me this. So I can carry on to the next. And the creepers needed extra room, so we have this issue. But it should connect just fine. Assuming I've done this correctly anyhow. Let's get rid of all of that. And boop. Up, up, up. And let's remove this. Switch it over to this. And slowly drag it back over. I still think this is a ridiculous amount of hoppers, but then I can very easily justify that with it would be way more hoppers if we didn't have the storage drawers. And it'd be 1,000 times worse. And then we drawer key. And we don't forget to grab the upgrades. And then we can connect up the last set. Up, up, up. Which we're gonna do like so, because they should be at a normal level. We'll do it one more. There we go. Come all the way over here. There we go. And we're gonna connect it up like so. A little bit in here. I'm just gonna get rid of all that. And in turn, I think I'm also gonna demolish this thing, which was to help me collect rice panicles, but I could also just set this up in the, thing I have in the storage room. Actually, I should probably set up... I'm gonna change out the rice one to only be rice panicles, and then I'll set up a rice one on top of it, like a normal rice. I'm just gonna do the same thing I've done with... I'll show it in a second. Hold on. Fine. Get rid of that. There's too many blocks in my inventory. And I now have a wonderful arrow right in my shoulder. Very fast. And then this can connect up like so. And then I gotta also do this side. That is not what I needed to do there. I don't have any of that anymore. Give. And leave me alone, random skelly. There we go. And boop, 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 boop. Get rid of all of these. Pick up that. Replace with that. And do I have just enough hoppers to get this done? Yes, I do. Fantastic. Is this certainly a weird way to do it? Absolutely. Has it worked? Absolutely. Now I still have extra hoppers after that, actually. So we'd even use all of them. I still have some of these. There we go. Stack. Perfect. Again, absolutely the weirdest way I could have done this. But is it successful and does it work? Yes. Yes, it does. Now all we have to do is connect up all of these. That is connected up to its actual storage drawers in the storage room. And I wish luck to myself if I ever decide to come back down here and try and make all of this look aesthetical, because geez, that's gonna be a heyday. So now we gotta do... Hi, Misty! Hello! Boop, is there... We're working on my storage right now. And getting it all connected up to my barely working system. Also, I've been meaning to send you a screenshot of this. Let's go upstairs for this. Hold on. Let's get out of the gubbins. You can make storage shelves. I figured this out with the curtains and the parapets. So we have these fake storage shelves. We have these fake storage shelves. And then I just have the trim set up so they kind of look like a bunch of boxes hanging out on the shelves. I love it so much. It's fantastic. Oh, and I have a walk-in fridge over there for my hibachi station. What we were gonna do is I'm gonna move this up to a different spot that isn't connected anywhere else. I don't have a good spot for this. I really don't. I don't have a good spot for it. I don't want to connect it to anything else, though. Can I just pretend it's like a box on the ground? I don't have a good spot for that. I really don't have a good spot for this thing. You know what? It can go above the onions. Let's pop it above the onions. Give me that. The rice turns into rice panicles, which has been a problem, but if I move this up one block, give me that. And then I switch this out. Let's do a quantify key. Or we're just gonna do this, hold on. Let me steal, oh, thank you for the drawer. Steal the panicles from here, and pop it in there. And now I can drawer key, or drawer, and then quantify. So now I can come over here and have those together. I want them to look like different boxes. And not that it's just stacked on top of it. There we go. So now I can throw rice into this, because rice isn't going to be inherently in the system. It shouldn't be. So now I no longer have to figure out autocrafters for that. It just goes into here, so if I do need straw, or if anybody else needs straw, they can come over here, and we're gonna take from my original rice station. I do have a cutting board set up, so this could be my cutting station for the rice panicles to give me rice. And if I don't want to deal with that, I can just craft it. Because it doesn't take a lot of time to craft. I'm perfectly fine with crafting that on my own. Instead of mucking up my entire system in order to figure out how to place in an auto crafter when I can just do it myself. Because if I can do it myself, I'm gonna do it myself. Let me looky see. Is it directly above me? Yes. And that means yes. And nope, one off. Two off, right here. And then right here? No. Where's... Oh, they're every other, right here. That is not... Those are all the wrong spots. All the wrong places. And then this row, yes. Where? Right here? And I believe two other? Yes. So that gets all of that connected up, and then I also need to connect up you. And you. So now things should start filtering in very slowly, because there's still a bunch of wool and eggs in the system that need to be sorted through. And I'm missing some of this. Did I get the spiders in? No, I did not. Let me just pop that down. Thank you. And two over. Yes, yes. No. There. And I think that's now everything connected to the system. I don't think... Or did we only connect the... I didn't connect this. I don't even remember what this is. Couldn't tell you. Like, I can't... Oh, it's arrows. I can't see it, but I can see it at the top of my screen. So I think that is now everything connected. We have a miscellaneous drawer for any possible issues. But very slowly, this should all be filtering in. And I don't see why nothing wouldn't be at this point. Which, if I've done this all correctly, means now we can spend the next hour just decorating. I'm gonna make sure that this is still flowing. Yep, there's a bunch of stuff going in. Alright, it sees all that. Is there stuff going in? We still have a singular egg going through. Is there a backstock over here? Yeah, it's backstocked. Egg. Singular egg. Overtaken by another egg. Overtaken by another egg. And there's still more wool to get thrown in. There we go. So that should also be going through the system now. That's its own thing. There's still a huge backstock of eggs. I also need to put... The eggs might not have enough upgrades. That could be why there's a backstock of eggs clogging the system. I need to make sure all of these have their upgrades. And if need be, a void upgrade. It's still filling. So, I mean... Can I click? I need an empty hand. Click. Oh, yeah, it has... Hello, welcome! Hi, thank you for the raid. Welcome to my stream. This is Passion SMP. I'm trying to finish up my Megabase today. We just finished up the storage, and now I'm making sure that it's working. If you're new around here, I'm Mutation CIP. I am the owner of Passion SMP. We mostly do modded Minecraft content. This, as you can probably tell, this Minecraft server is ever so slightly modded, and I'm having fun trying to figure out it. Figure out it? You know, we're sticking with it. Over here, we find the deep dark way too much, and there's a method to the madness, and it's cranberries. And don't forget the daily cranberries. We do have a daily redeem you can use, and it's adorable. I love it. I'm trying to make sure we have the walk-in fridge and it's overclogged of eggs. Because I have a ridiculous amount of eggs. One of my favorite things, I haven't used Farmer's Delight before. And through my research of looking through all the recipes, fried rice is the easiest thing to do because it's just crops and eggs, so you don't have to deal with animals a lot. But I've had chicken sitting for a while and it's still slowly clicking through all the eggs. You know, let's help them out. Because the eggs are clogging my entire system and I need the eggs out of the system. Because I need to make sure the rest of the system actually works. How fast can I click? Not fast enough, probably. Can I click this enough so it's just one blob of egg? Can we click this up fast enough for that? Egg? Can I have one solid egg? From the thousands of eggs I have? We're making a solid egg. That's what we're doing. We're making a solid egg from the eggs. Billy Bob better not log on because it's immediately gonna crash him. Come on. Egg. Ah, that's beautiful. I have way too many eggs. Okay, that didn't even click. That didn't pick up nearly enough of them. Okay, hold on. I have more. Misty! Hi, hello! There's a lot of raids going on right now. Hi, welcome. Hi, Misty's people. I hope you're having a good day. I am dealing with an egg clog, because it's clogging my entire system. These have eggs, those have eggs, those have eggs. I need another backpack for the eggs. We have too many eggs. There's too many eggs going on here. Oh my god. Okay, eggs. Eggs. All the eggs, please. Egg crisis. Little too much eggs. Little too much. Perhaps, maybe thousands. Just perhaps, I'm just gonna... Yep. Okay, so we collected most of them. Welcome. We are finishing up my Megabase this week, and I've been streaming basically every day. We were supposed to finish this last night, but storage drawers are annoying, so my 2014 hopper chaining redstone came to the rescue. I have so many hoppers. But it's fine, because now all of my farms are connected to this one room, and I can tell people if they need to grab something. My base is a community farm. People are free to come and grab what they need. I can tell them, oh, just go into the storage room. But things are taking their sweet time to get over here, so we need to clear the egg issue, because there's still eggs coming through the system. And there's too many of them. There's too many freaking eggs. I don't even have that many chickens. I have like 6. But the problem is, I am directly, if I pre-cam this, I am directly below spawn. That is the spawn portal. So if anybody's on, pretty much, my farms are running, which is great, except for the chickens. Apparently, I only need 1 chicken, because I almost have the same amount of stone as I do eggs. And I have 20,000 stone. So that's a little bit of a problem, just May, perhaps. Do you think this month or the next month I could join the You're in the SMP. You're on the whitelist. You're free to log on, Wolfie. You're more than welcome to log on, remember? You're all set up. You're more than welcome to log on and hop on right now. I'll help you get started. The mod pack's in the server files. That's everything we need. Eggs. You just gotta download it. If you need to, I could, I think I might be able to log on later today to help you out with that. Okay, so that's almost all the eggs. We have a few more eggs to get to. And hopefully I can fix the frickin' clog in my system. Give all the eggs. All the eggs. Thank you. Egg. That is not the correct backpack. I'm having an egg explosion in my backpacks. Eggs. I actually love eggs. I adore eggs, and surprisingly, most of my family does not, so I don't know why I do. Null Shift, hi, hello. I think I recognize you from some of Misty's streams. It's a lot of eggs. There's too many eggs. But now I can make a ridiculous amount of fried rice. I have 10,000 eggs. Hold on. I want to see statistics. How items. I'm so curious. Egg. Time dropped 13,000 times and I picked them up 21,000 times. Jeez. That's too many eggs. Is there still an egg clogging my system? Are there still eggs clogging? Yes, there's eggs clogging the system. I had too many eggs. You know, I think we can answer the age-old question, the chicken or the egg, because I have so many eggs, there's no way it's the chicken first. Also, dinosaurs exist, so the egg has to be the right answer because dinosaurs are older than chickens. But it's definitely the egg. Steal all the freaking eggs. All the eggs, please. Okay, there's sugarcane, sugarcane. Instead of opening them every time, let's actually use the little pointer at the top of my screen. Okay, hopefully that's all the eggs. Hopefully. Okay, there's still 2 in there. Why are you guys stopping up this? Is it because the sugarcane's running through now? It's because there's sugarcane now. How much? Okay, there's still sugarcane slowly running through, but we'll actually let the sugarcane run through now. Is the sugarcane running through? Why there's so many eggs? Also, if you've missed the previous streams or you want to go check out the progress we've made, because I have, this week, we didn't do the west entrance. This week, we did, I can't even see it. My base is too big. We did the south entrance, and if I fly real quick, the east entrance. Those were both their own streams. And I also gutted my old crop farm to make a second rice farm, and then we made these mini crop farms as well. And I'm gonna also be editing the entirety of today, so hopefully, just maybe, perhaps, I can actually get a video out tomorrow, which will just be what we streamed this week, finishing the Megabase. And it's under YouTube, same username, mutation, CIP. There should be a link below. I think I have a YT. Do I have YT link? Yes, I do! Thank you, Nightbot. And thank you, Past Me, for actually remembering to do that. Okay, eggs. There's still too many eggs. To finish the last few eggs that are caught up in the system, hopefully. There also might be the problem that it's too spread out. There's too many frames. Or, I don't know why I keep calling them frames. There's too many trims. So the game's thinking, oh, I need to... They could also not have the upgrades they need. The game could be going along the lines of there's too many trims, so it can't reach the places it needs to. Is it because it doesn't have the upgrade it needs? No, it's just not adding to that anymore. Those should have upgrades. I'm not willing to put a bunch of upgrades on you. You don't need all the upgrades. If anything, I actually want to put a void upgrade on you. Can I have that back? Apparently not. This definitely needs an upgrade. That has its upgrades. Bones needs an upgrade. Gunpowder needs upgrades. And string needs upgrade. The rest of these items I don't care about. I'm gonna need to make a lot of void upgrades for all these. Void, just if it gets too much, it will start, if there's too many items, it will just get rid of them. Get rid of the excess. Can I seriously not have that back? Oh, because there's too many. It has to have at least one. No, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's being silly. Give me one of those back, please. Thank you. It's being silly. I can at least put a void upgrade ASAP on here. No? Okay, there we go. And then I could trade out that for this. There we go. Because I do want a fair amount of poppies in the system. I would like to have a backstock of poppies for bone meal. But also, if it gets to be too much, I don't want it to clog the system either. So, how's this going? There's a singular iron ingot running through. Is it going funky because it's all connected and it's not sure what to do anymore? There's a singular arrow running through. Okay, no, it's switching through. It's switching through. And just in case, I'm just gonna loop that. Just so it gets through things a little faster. So yes, this is indeed slowly working through everything. I can see it slowly popping through there. It's giving Space Engineers conveyor vibes. Actually, yes. I don't play Factorio games. I do like myself some Tycoon games. I've never gotten farther than a few achievements. The few basic achievements and oxygen not included, despite loving the game as a perfectionist streak, and my brain does not like advanced redstone. So instead, I create like 3 stacks of hoppers and a ridiculous amount of trims and just hope that works. Hydrate, yes, yes, yes. I will hydrate. Thank you, thank you. Okay, yeah, I need to hydrate more. Hold on. Wait. You know you're a little dehydrated when your body goes from cold water. I'll get there just a tiny bit of test and I become horizontal. Yes, please do rest. Get all the rest you need. I think at this point we can start throwing some stuff back upstairs. And alright, I got lava chicken by accident last time. Yeah, I do need to hydrate more. I haven't refilled my water bottle yet today. But I will soon. I was not good about it tomorrow. Luckily, I've always been struggled with planners, and for a while I would just work on my own planners. But while I was trying to find a new planner this last time, I came across there's a specific type of planner called a productivity planner. This is an unlabeled planner. It just has all the months and days at the top so you can highlight what day it is. And the one I picked, and why it caught my eye, it's a very beautiful dark blue. It's like a navy blue. And on the front cover, it just has these beautiful gold letters that say day-to-day chaos. And so what happens is a left and right page are one full day. You can list the top 3 priorities, the to-do and appointments, and there's a little health section where you can put, the meals and snacks you'll have for that day. I use it to write down what I'm going to have for breakfast that day and lunch, so I don't have to think about it. You can also list your workout, and then there's a couple little teardrops that you can do, like, I drank this much water. And I use that every time I refill my water bottle. I just color out a teardrop. And off to the side of it, this has been very helpful for me to plan out my day better, but it's not super constricting either, is it has a schedule of 6 a.m. to about 10 p.m. in half-hour segments. So I go through and write, okay, I need to wake up at this time, I'm gonna have lunch at this time, I'm streaming during this time. And the right page is notes, like a little notes section so you can put down a bunch of stuff. Hey, Billy Bob! Thank you for contributing to the Channel Points Challenge. There's also a little ideas section that's just completely blank for you to write on. And at the bottom, there's daily affirmations and gratitude. So I just keep this off to the side of my desk and I can quickly mark through everything I need to do in a given day. And it's been really fantastic. I've been using it for, I think, about a month now, honestly. Absolutely adore it. Is there anything else? There's quite a lot of things, actually, I could throw in here. Stretch. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Let's stretch. Throw everything back. Big stretch. There's a stretch I like doing a lot. That's just really easy, especially because I'll start the bingo, yes. Gotta make sure my feet are planted forward. We do a big stretch to the left. Big stretch to the right. And then reach to the sky and all the way down. My legs are still not happy about that one. Hamstrings be tight and I am working on it. I had very, very many eggs. I had too many. Way too many. I wonder if there's just a start command for the bingo. If so, that'd be great, but I don't know it. Thankfully, I still have the stream manager up, so let me start the bingo. I just need to get in the habit each time I end the stream that I go into it real quick and stop it and start a new one. Game log reload it, so it'll actually let me stop it. Game started. Am I allowed to make a new bingo? plays. Let me configure the damn thing. Stop game. I'm also, while I'm in here, I talked about it yesterday. Let's do. Mentions ass. Because for some reason, that's something I do a lot. So that is now also in the bingo board. So we have, if I say I have a tech issue, mob death, animal death, random luck, race car / Billy Bob shenanigans, wait, what is, and then I check whatever it is. Suddenly a thesaurus, stutter, dusty / cat interruption, player death, the method to madness, if I mention cranberries, if I mention lingo legend, if I mention the deep dark, if I get sidetracked, if my VTuber freaks out, and now if I mention ass. You know what, we'll keep it as a 3x3. Start. Or save and start. Save it, there we go. This is a beautiful bingo board. Thank you, viewers bingos. Cranberries, yes, cranberries. I don't know if that counts as a mention, but your discretion. I think there's some things that can immediately be thrown. Not really. I have to get through like one thing away. So let's throw trims back. For all the trims. It's being silly about my trims. There's a compactor. Is what? Contents sealed within. What do I have? I have... That one had a bunch of upgrades in it, and that's why. Those are 2x2 drawers, all the trims. And that's all of that, okay. And then boop, boop, boop. And then I can actually throw the rest of this down. I have a singular egg still. Lovely. Oak goes with the oak stuff. And then I have a lot of spruce. Can the spruce actually go in there? Mostly dark oak. Stairs. If I remember how I organize any of this. Crafting tables can go with the rest of the stuff. The bingo is black and white for me. Uh-oh. Let me open up the stream and check, make sure. Let me make sure I don't get double audio. Waiting for a game to start. Okay, hold on. Let me fix that. Extensions. It's my frickin' extension. I click start. Save. Start. Now it's started. Hopefully. Should be. Game started. There we go. It has told me game has started, so hopefully game has actually started this time. Crafting tables, and do I? You know what, we'll stick the other campfires in there. I haven't used them once, but maybe. Maybe I will. Perhaps. It's Minecraft, I'm allowed to hoard. But all of that. Stone pillars, those are a modded item that I love very dearly. Boop. Bop bop. Egg. If this gives me a chicken, we will keep it as a pet. No chicken. We can put extra hoppers in there. And then I'm gonna do one last quick check. We're gonna make sure that the storage system is in fact working. There's race car. We're gonna make sure the storage is in fact working. Workamaging. All the eggs are in. I'm not expecting that to be moving up a lot. 386. 694. It's only at 70 wool still. So the wool might be backlogged at the moment. It has given me a lot more gunpowder. It's still on one. Oh, it says 2 bones on the top, but there's only 1. There we go. More string, more rotten flesh. So it's still slowly working through. Very slowly. I should actually put some planks back in my inventory so I can fill that in later. It's still working through the string, it seems like. Yep, string over there. And yeah, the string and bones are on backlog. Okay. Which means the wool is backlogged somewhere in here. Where is it? There we go. All the wool's back here. So I'm just gonna have to AFK this probably after stream. Thankfully, I did get really lucky this morning. I got out of bed at a good time, and I actually managed to do a decently fast shower despite trying to write the damn script in my head again. So I was able to actually take the time I was eating breakfast to supercut the first VOD. We now have 5 VODs, counting this one, that I need to edit for the video tomorrow. But thankfully, I no longer have a ridiculous deadline of 9 AM for the videos, my time. I've moved it to 12 PM, so I have a few hours Sunday morning to try and get it done on time. If not, then it will get posted when it gets posted. Oh, I have these random things, hold on. Let's throw the redstone stuff with the redstone stuff. Crafter goes in here, redstone torch, and apparently I have lava chicken now. So that's gonna go up here in with the cats. Discs. Here. Whoop. And then... let me think. I can't even see the heart of the server from here because I keep my render distance low for the streams. Actually, in general, just because it runs better. Now I can see the heart. Go all the way down here. So, excuse me. Don't give me lava chicken. Thank you. I don't want to deal with that. So, the original idea with the copper heart was... the copper will be things flowing in, or things flowing out, and the oxidized will be things flowing out, and the red, the normal waxed copper, would be things flowing in. I'm not sure how much I can actually still keep up that idea. I could separate this between mob farms and non-mob farms to represent each of the things. Let me think about this for a second. We're gonna grab a stack of each of these. These are waxed and oxidized. Waxed ones, yes. And let's fly down here and not add to the death count of the north staircase. So let's think about this. There are 2 mob farms right here. So 1, 2... technically 3 in here. I'm willing to count that as an additional 3, making 5, because these are all different things, and I actually have reorganized these spawners in order to get specific drops. This would be 6, and I think the iron golem, I'm going to count this all as one thing, because they all work together. 7. So that'd be 7... let me make a group for you, Billy Bob, or Racecar, whatever, whichever username we're calling you today. Live, open, there you go. So that makes 7 mob farms. And then there's 1, 2, 3 mini crop farms, 4 sugarcane, 5 rice, 6 rice, 7, 8. They're both currently onions. One of them I'm going to switch to carrots. 8 crop farms. So I wouldn't be too upset. I wouldn't be too upset with switching him out like that and making them like that, because that would be mostly even. Is there anything I could consider to be a different thing in order to... I could technically count the villagers as another mob farm. So that's even now. It's 8 for 8. So we could absolutely do that, which would look pretty good. And I want to have some meaning behind this and actually, like, recognize what's going on here. So I'm thinking some of the bigger farms that really add to my base, like the iron farm, would have a bigger piping system going through the field, going through the network. And same thing for the rice farms as well. And for these big crop farms back here, maybe 1 or 2 of them would be a bigger pipe. So let me I do keep, I'm pretty sure. There we go. Looking cool. So let's do let's just do green. Green and red. That's easier for me to remember than oxidized and waxed copper, because both of them are waxed, so that doesn't help me. Let me sit around here. so it can really be loaded in and it's getting everything into storage. I need to think. We are going to be doing... I need to just list all my farms. Sheep, sugar cane, auto onion, auto rice, auto carrot, auto egg, and then there's technically a smelter there, but it could be added as one of the non-plant. I don't want to count it. It also messes with the count. Skelly, spawn, or spawner Skelly. Let's do that. Spawn Skelly. That's not how you type that. Skelly. Spawner spider. Spawner zombie. Creeper. Rice times 2. Crop 1. Crop 2. And the iron. Plus, I don't have enough room for it. Plus the villagers. So if I want to go a step further, I could instead go like, oh, put all the... If I change the one up here to... It doesn't like me doing that. Rice number 1, I'm gonna do that just for safety, for knowing. Rice number 2, or rice 2, because I'm doing this also with the other thing. Rice 1, rice 2, and the crop 1 and crop 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, probably because I counted both the rice farms as one, maybe. I'm not sure, we'll find out. There's the sheep, Skelly, spider, zombie, creeper, iron golem technically because there's a mob drop, villagers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How have I ended up? Oh, because the egg is an animal farm. Crop 1 and then crop 2. Bought a whole barrel. Hell yeah. Barrel fried rice. Auto egg. There we go. So make sure that saves. Now I gotta consider all of these are gonna be red. That's not how I want to do this. Red pipes. And all of these are gonna be green pipes. And now I get to decide which ones are gonna be bigger and which ones are gonna be smaller. I'm thinking rice 1's gonna be a large pipe. Sugarcane can be a small pipe. And all the autos could be small pipes. I think rice 2 can also be a small pipe. It's a supporting pipe and I'll have it connect to the large pipe. And then crop 1 and crop 2 will be large pipes. Sheep is gonna be a small pipe. The Skelly is gonna be a large one and I'm gonna have the spider and zombie connect to it. The creeper is also going to be a large one, and same thing with the iron golem. And then this is going to be a small, and this is going to be a small. So that means I have 6 large pipes total, and then 10 small pipes. I'm going to do large, let's do R1, or small connect to rice 1. All of those can connect up, and then these will be by themselves. And then Skelly connect to... Small connect to Skelly. Small connect to Skelly. And the auto egg is going to be a small one connecting to the sheep. I kind of want to connect the villager, or intertwine the villager one. Have it connected up with the iron one. Figure out something with that. And I have like a half hour left. I'm supposed to be streaming. So we're gonna kind of sloppily do this. I originally had like bigger ideas and plots, but at the moment I want this to genuinely get done, or at least I have some rough draft that we can pick up another day. Thankfully, I do have quite a bit of this going on, so let's just steal, like, all of that. And a fair amount of that. So it's about even. And that's all I have of that. Okay. We can work with that. So what I'm thinking is, for small pipes, we're just going to do a single block, and then large pipes will be this. And I'm going to need a... well... I'm not sure if I want to put a filler block in between that to make it easier to build. I think I will... just to help me out. Grab a bunch of filler blocks. I don't know if I'm going to use all of these, but we will see. And now we're going to do the best we can. I'm not going to connect up these pipes to the storage system. That was my original thought process for this. But I will be connecting all these pipes into the metal heart. So, going off the list, we're going to start with all of these. We're going to have one large pipe go... one large red pipe for the rice. That's not where that needs to go. And I'm going to have a fun time figuring out how I'm going to build this out. Maybe I should do it directly from the inside of this? I'm not sure how I actually want to build this up. I could just make a pipe in the corner here and build from here and then curve it into the wall. Thank you, Kofi-Bot. I would make this so much better and make me last a lot of materials and it also look better. I'm going to use the full copper blocks purely for connection points. Let me move that there. And I need to throw that back in the ender chest backpack. This is also going to help me save out on materials. Let's grab 2 of these. And then I'm just going to keep 3 of these. We're going to use the cut copper. And then throw this back up like so. So we're going to do this in the corner here. I could change out that corner for piping, but I don't quite like that idea. And then I need one of these. How do I want to do a corner? We could just do a corner like this. I should have had a filler block out. That would have helped me here. Does it look okay as a corner? Maybe if I did instead... Let's fill this up so I don't have mobs spawning in here. We do this as my corner spot. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Perfect. And then we pipe this into the wall. And we'll connect this up on the other side. There goes my blocks. And so by the end of this, we're just going to have a bunch of pipes going on in the ceiling. That's not what I want to do. Thank you. And my face into the wall. There we go. Give me those back. And I'm not sure if I want to have... I think I'm going to have these run along... Do I want to have them run along the center? That is the question. I would prefer the center to be as empty as possible, so you have a great sign light of this, and then you can see the copper weaving out and around next to it. That is not what I need to do. So I'm going to have to do another corner here. And let's see if I even remember how I did it. Okay, I have to completely change my brain. Yes? Yes. Okay. Good. And then we're going to have this run along, which is going to intersect with this, but I think that's fine. And I think I'll also we can come in with some acacia logs. I'm going to need to collect that. But we can come in with some acacia logs as support beams for this, maybe. Acacia and warped logs would be best. I'm also going to have to do a turn over here. Can I do that fast enough? No. Which gives me the room. I can do boop, boop, and a boop. And then do a boop there, and then cover this, which makes our turn. Which side do I need? I need that to go over to that side, or connect up to that would be more ideal. I think I'm gonna get this just out far enough that we can turn this again, and I can have this start going up. Nope. Can I get... Yes. Now could I actually do this? We're gonna find out. Another issue is gonna be, do I have enough materials to do this? And I'm gonna need this to go up, so we're gonna do a connector point and then do another turn. Although piping probably doesn't work like this, I probably could have just gone straight up. Yeah, I could have just gone straight up, hold on. Oh, there we go. Hit. And then we do this. Nope. And then we can connect that up to that pipe. Nope. Out of blocks. But that's fine. This is also why I wanted to go with the cut copper, because it makes it so much easier to use all these materials. Or to not use up all the materials, I think is more correct. Let's do this as just 3, so it's a little more aesthetically pleasing. 3 or 5? Probably 5 would actually fit this space better, so I need to immediately rebuild everything I just destroyed. And then we switch like this. And connect it up like so. Perfect. And I never did any middle blocks in here. And fill in the blanks. And I need to now make this a connection point. I might just keep the bulb. So I don't have a better spot for it. And I think in order for this to make sense, I need to also do this. So it does look like it's been piping that's properly connected up. Which does get rid of some of the gradient I've done here, but that's fine. And now I need to throw a bunch of random materials in my inventory. And grab more deep slate. And honestly, grab more. Refill. Refill that. Okay. So that's one proof of concept. I haven't completely finished it. But I do like the idea that's going on here. I do like this. And I feel like it'll get better and better as we make this fit more in the space. Maybe instead of like having it being held up with copper, I could have fences holding it up, so it still has some of that rustic feel. and it's held up with wooden beams, I could use some of the words. I could use some of the words, always. I always need the words. I could use some of the spruce trapdoors I have to make it look like it's really being held together. Spruce trapdoors and fences, or not fences. I already want to use fences. And spruce stairs. So it's being held together by, like, nuts and bolts. Or wooden nuts. Wooden support? I don't know what else to call it. What you'd expect of a nut on a pipe, but instead it's a wooden one. Another 20 minutes roughly that I want to stream here. I don't want to push it too much. I still have the entire day I need to edit. I still have 4 streams to edit, including this one. At least I got one done this morning. And I already have... I think I can't remember if I did supercut the next one or if I already... I use a silence detection tool. I can't remember if I've already used it on this next VOD or not. Yeah, I really like how that comes together. There is a block missing back there, though. Let's see it. Oh. There we go. So that's one pipe, and now I want to come over and connect this one to that. And I feel like this one, I could connect it directly from here, maybe, but we're just gonna stick to... Maybe I have an assortment of smaller pipes in this one. I want to make this slightly off. There we go. That'll do. And then have one twist right here. Nope. Another twist way lower. Hopping off. Alright. Bye-bye, Billy Bob. Nope. Nope. And then maybe this one goes up way higher and starts twisting here. Which means the spot. That spot. Yeah. I'm gonna place deep slate so I know where I need to connect from. And this one is gonna be right above. Yeah. Boop, boop. And get rid of that. Also, the spruce planks, don't need that. Oh, there we go. Oh. Can I make it up there? Yes. And this actually near perfectly connects up. I did say I wanted this to be mostly out of way, but this is fine. Maybe instead, let's do... Instead of just a straight shot over, let's add a little interest to this. And also give me more eye line, more sight of the heart. Because I need to twist this around quite a bit, actually. So I can do this and then connect it up. Let me give this more space, because that just looks really funky. Give. Oh, I have it in my offhand, that's why. This is already messed up what I was doing. Let's do that would make an actual turn. Yeah. Or maybe it'd be better like that, wouldn't it? And then I could connect this up over here. Nope, give. Okay, fine. Please give, thank you. And I picked up that last one on the way back, thankfully. And then I need another set right here. Another curve. Okay, there we go. That feels better, and now I have a full eye line, and I can see both of those curves. Which is fantastic, and I actually land on it, though. Barely. And we can come over here. And then at this spot, I can do the last curve. That leaves this one. How am I going to connect to you? Do I just want to connect it to this? Or do I want to try just connecting it on this side? Not really. I could just have it run through on this side. Because there's not going to be any other small copper piping on this side, so I think we'll do that. I'll have this run down the center. And maybe I curve this pipe. So it joins it. So both those pipes are now one. That's not what I need to do. I think maybe for a little interest, I'm gonna turn this a little bit. 2, 3. Oop. Oop. And then maybe I could have it line up with the curve up there. Hopefully. Can I make that line up? Yes, I place copper here. Checker there. And then that can line up. Perfect. And in order to fill in this, we're gonna do boop. And actually make it feel like it's connected. We're gonna do that. So it looks like it's seriously connected into it. Can I realistically do that back here? Kinda already has. So let's just do that. And then remove this so I can save on materials as much as possible. It looks a little silly, but I'm fine with how it is right now. So that's those, and I've used most of these. Do I get the same amount out of this if I don't use the stone cutter? No, that seems to just go directly. I absolutely need to use the stone cutter for this. Let me test with 1. That just gives me 4 back, so that's the exact same amount. This gives me way more out of 1 stack. And I can't even fit all that in my inventory. There we go. Yeah. I need to put that back in here. I don't think we're going to be able to finish this today, so this is definitely going to be something we continue to do as I continue wrapping up things in the server. This was absolutely something I added last minute to my list of like, oh, I kind of want to add some piping around the place. That does look kind of cool from a distance. I feel like it'd be a lot better if I have more pipes around the place and some that are just random here or there. We're gonna check on the storage, and I think I can say my Megabase is pretty much done. No, we did not finish everything, but I got all that I wanted to get done. Because it is just not possible for me to get all this done in the amount of time I had. And I did my best with what I could. But we still did amazing with what we had. So let me check about. There's nothing sitting in hoppers that needs to still be organized. It's still... Oh, there we go. I'm just having graphical bug with that. And there's a few of those in the system. I think that's a graphical bug. Yep. 83, 35, it still says 1, so graphical bug. 3, 5, gotta check these now, make sure. That actually is 43, 403. That does have its 15. That does have the 292. That has the correct amount, or says correct amount. I still have a couple extra slime balls, apparently. The wool never went through, though. So let's go see what that's all about. How much can I actually fit in here? Almost. I get rid of those, which I don't need anyway. There we go. So why is the wool not connecting? Is it because these levers actually affect this hopper? Yeah. Yeah, they do. So let's literally move these levers over just a slight bit, because it's affecting the state of this hopper, which I was slightly worried about. There we go. So now, is that running through? Yes, it is. Is that in the correct spot? I don't think that's in the correct spot. I don't think that's in the correct spot. Y'all are... Oh, hold on. Simple fix. Did I pick up? Pick up? Pick up? Give? Oh, did it go in the system? Ah, it went in the system, didn't it? Hey, it's gone. There's still eggs! There's still eggs! There we go. Can I just steal? Yeah, I'm just gonna steal. Block from here. Oop. So now the wool is actually running through the system, supposedly. Why? Why are you not... What? 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 I don't understand redstone. Oh, because it is oh. Because it is still technically affecting that block. I'll figure out a solution for this to look better above later. It's still affecting that hopper. You shouldn't be affecting that hopper anymore. It's out of your range. Why is the hopper locked? Is this draining at least? It's draining through, so I'm just gonna assume it's cleaning in too fast. I'm gonna assume that's all fine and dandy. Whoop. And we're just gonna do this to cover up the mistakes I have made. Do I need that for anything, actually? Do I need that spot for anything? It doesn't seem like it. I might... I think I need an observer there. I'm not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna pretend I have even less farms than I do. And then I'm not gonna worry about it. It's fine. I will worry about it another day. Because I am done. We did it. The storage has been solved. That is all I care about now. So I'm gonna sit in my little hibachi station. And because Billy Bob has decided to clean out my stock, I'm gonna get myself started on some more fried rice. Probably because I also need some myself. I kinda do, actually. Genuinely, I do. We've been running through a lot of it doing this week. And I've already been stealing from my shop for a good minute. So, let me grab a lid. As I start grabbing a bunch of this, we're gonna... That's 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, let's do this a better way. 1, 2, 3. Get some of these going. Boop, boop, boop. Because if I only place the rice, it's going to start making cooked rice, and that's not what I need. No, no. Nope. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. And I could take a bunch of these. Actually, all of these, apparently. I'm gonna need to go get more bowls. I don't have enough of bowls for all this. Boop. We're gonna place just a little bit back. I just wanna place some of these back. There we go. While I get all of my fried rice going. that's gonna be it for this one. Weird end, I know, but it's what I need to get done. And that's been all of these streams. So thank you all for joining me. I think that's just about the end of my Megabase. There's a few things here and there to wrap up, but I'm very happy with this finish. That is basically everything I need to get done. There's only little decor here or there to do. So that'll be it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. As per usual, the live notifications go out into... Oh, I forgot I need to be AFK. Well, I failed to log in because I need to restart the launcher, so it's decided for me. Anyway, that'll be it. As per normal, all of the live notifications go up into the Discord. I do have a Tumblr, Disc, and Blue Sky. Those have the screenshots. They are going to have screenshots for the next several days, actually, of the different builds we've been doing, and different little screenshots of the progress we've been making. Tumblr is currently catching up on all the builds I've done lately over on Ko-fi. Ko-fi, I post builds. You can have... They are world edit / Lightmatica schematics. Some of them are even free. Most of them are pretty cheap. I think the most expensive one I have is for like $5 because it was a really big base, but that's it. And there's gonna be more coming to it Monday. I post to it every Monday. It's gonna be, because I didn't have the time for it, we're just gonna do probably a little birch magical starter house for Monday. I'll whip that off camera. And then tomorrow on the main channel is gonna be a video condensing all of this into one little package for you. And if you do want to see more of what we did today, there's of course the VOD channel. Unless you're already here, then go watch the other VODs. And the VOD channel also features my second channel content. There should be, if I remember, I wanted to get another video out this week, so there's going to be a second channel video out this week. I think it's the baby Mew clips of me reacting to a bunch of my old stuff that I found. And I think with all that said and done, that is it. Technically, I also have a TikTok, but it's the exact same thing as my shorts, so... That'll be it. We're going to end off there. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, and thank you all to the raiders. Thank you for Misty rating. Thank you for its bean sauce rating. It was fantastic. Thank you so much. And that'll be it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the raiders for stopping by. And have a great day. Have a good one. Bye-bye.